Numbers 5:1, the Lord said to Moses. 5:2, command the Israelites that they put outside the camp every leper and everyone who has a discharge, and whoever is defiled by coming in contact with the dead. So we saw previously in the book of Leviticus the different rules and regulations around the clean and the unclean. And here we have the unclean being excluded from the camp, that they are to be removed from the camp. So this is some degree of quarantine. So this would prevent different infections and different types of sicknesses. There was no medicine back in those days, so it was probably a way of keeping the people safe. And maybe there was a ceremonial aspect to the cleanliness as well, dealing with the camp being the one that God was dwelling in inside the tent of meeting. So there's some things going on there as well. Numbers 5:3, both male and female you shall put out. Without the camp you shall put them, that they may not defile their camp in the midst of which I dwell. 5:4, the Israelites did so, and put them outside the camp. As the Lord said to Moses, so the Israelites did. There was no distinction made by gender, that if someone was unclean, they were removed. And we see that the Israelites, they were obedient to this, and they followed the rules. Numbers 5:5, and the Lord said to Moses. 5:6, say to the Israelites, when a man or woman commits any sin that men commit by breaking faith with the Lord, and that person is guilty. Moses went up Mount Sinai and communicated with the Lord, and while he was up there, he received many different rules and regulations for the people of Israel. And he explained them then, and he explained them in more detail in the book of Leviticus. So we got to see a lot of these different rules and regulations. And when we see this line here referring to the idea of the breaking of faith, that is simply breaking one of these rules. It doesn't really matter which one it is, but they broke one of them, so they are in disobedience by not being obedient to the law. And in many of these cases and in many of these instances, we saw what the restitution was for whatever rule it was that was broken. So this is kind of a generic statement referring to those that have broken the rules and that they need to do their restitution for whatever it is that they did, male or female. Numbers 5:7, then he shall confess the sin which he has committed, and he shall make restitution for his wrong in full, and add a fifth to it, and give it to him whom he has wronged. The first step we see here is the confession, the admitting of the sin, the fault or the transgression, whatever it was that occurred. And then to follow that up, we have the restitution, to make things right. And it's not just to pay the full price for whatever it is. If it's something that went wrong and it was not simply just replacing it, but we have replacing it with an additional fifth, so another 20% on top of that. So maybe the guy was borrowing his neighbor's thing, broke it, he confesses it, maybe admits it to his neighbor, and then pays the restitution, repairs the item, gets him a new one, whatever it is, gets himself squared away, and all things will be good. There could be a lot of different scenarios, but the idea is that sins against each other are also sins against the Lord. God loves his people so much that when they get hurt or their property is damaged and they feel the repercussions of it, that God is concerned about that, and he wants to see restitution made for any of these type of events, among other things too. Numbers 5:8, but if the man wronged has no kinsman to whom the restitution may be made, let it be given to the Lord for the priest, besides the ram of atonement, with which atonement shall be made for the offender. Sometimes mistakes can escalate and they can be deadly. And here we're looking at an instance where maybe somebody passed away and they didn't have any family members. Because if they were to pass away, then you would give the money or the restitution to the next of kin, and that would be that. But in the event that they don't really have that next of kin, they don't have anyone that they could pay this restitution to, then the restitution's to be paid to the Lord, to be paid to the priests. Numbers 5 and 9. And every offering of all the holy things of the Israelites which they bring to the priest shall be his. 5 and 10. And every man's hallowed things shall be the priest's. Whatever any man gives the priest shall be his. So we have God dwelling within the tabernacle at this juncture in time. That is, a portion of the Lord is making himself available to the Israelites, and he is leading and guiding the Israelites on their journey towards the promised land. They are his people, and he is their God. And the priests, they operate the tabernacle, they make sure everything is functional. And they are essentially the ambassadors to God at this juncture in time. And we have these different offerings, different things being given to the Lord. And as the representatives of the Lord, the priests are taking possession of these items. In many of the cases, we see some of these offerings, like a burnt offering or a wave offering or a other type of offering. Cereal offering? Let's go with cereal. In which a portion is burnt on the altar and the priest gets a portion for himself as like his own remuneration for fulfilling these duties. So he is kind of looked after by the Lord, and the things that he takes possession of, they're holy things, because the things that are given to the Lord, when they're given to the Lord, they become holy. And so that's what's going on here, that the priest takes possession of these things and they're holy things, and he gets to keep them, right? So if there's some meat or whatever from like a wave offering, he can take that home and eat it with his family or whatever it is, right? So it just depends on the scenario or what it is that's given to the Lord and what portion the priest gets. And we saw a lot of that in Leviticus when it came to determining which portion went to the priest. Numbers 5:11. And the Lord said to Moses, 5 and 12, say to the Israelites, if any man's wife goes astray and commits an offense of guilt against him. We are going to be looking at something very unpleasant now. We are going to be looking at adultery. This is something that sucked then, and it sucks now, and it's unfortunate that it happens at all. But it is what it is. And we're going to see how they dealt with it here in the wilderness wandering phase. Numbers 5:13. And a man lies with her carnally, and it is hidden from the eyes of her husband, and it is kept secret, though she is defiled, and there is no witness against her, nor was she taken in the act. 5:14. And if the spirit of jealousy comes upon him, and he is jealous and suspicious of his wife, who has defiled herself, or if the spirit of jealousy comes upon him, and he is jealous and suspicious of his wife, though she has not defiled herself. Adultery can often be hard to determine, unless, of course, it is blatantly obvious, caught with the pants down, the direct method of discovery. But often it's much more subtle signs. Something is just a little bit off. Maybe she's acting a little bit different, or is a little bit cold, and just acting in ways that are different than normal, and he doesn't really know what's going on. And he is kind of suspicious. Maybe there's something going on there. So that's what we're looking at here. It's almost an investigation to ascertain whether or not adultery is being performed. Numbers 5:15. Then shall the man bring his wife to the priest, and he shall bring the offering required of her, 1/10 of an ephod of barley meal. But he shall pour no oil upon it, nor put frankincense on it, symbols of favor and joy. For it is a cereal offering of jealousy and suspicion, a memorial offering bringing iniquity to remembrance. What we have here is the old school version of what we would call today family court. The man is suspicious of his wife. He doesn't know what's going on, and he can't really trust what she's saying, so he brings her to the priest to have him ascertain and to determine what is going on, whether or not she is an adulterer or not. We have the barley here, so an inexpensive grain, and an ephod, that's about 1/10 of a homer, which is another unit of measurement we don't really use today, but it's not a significant amount of grain. It's just a decent amount. On Wikipedia, they say it's about 43 eggs. So 1.5 kilograms. I think that's like the smaller bags of flour that they have at the store in the parts of Canada that I dwell in. Numbers 5:16. And the priest shall bring her near and set her before the Lord. 5:17. And the priest shall take holy water, probably from the sacred laver, in an earthen vessel, and take some of the dust that is on the floor of the tabernacle, and put it in the water. So they're inside the courtyard of the tabernacle, and so she is before the Lord, and the priest is going to administer a test to see whether or not she is an adulteress. He is making a drink for her, consisting of holy water and dust from the tabernacle. This is a sacred and holy place, and as such, there's going to be an effect on this. We saw previously when Aaron's sons, they were misbehaving and they were struck dead for their behavior. So there is high stakes here at play when it comes to trying to deceive the Lord in his holy place, in an area of consecration. Numbers 5:18. And the priest shall set the woman before the Lord, and let her hair of the woman's head hang loose, and put the meal offering of remembrance in her hand, which is the jealous and suspicion offering. And the priest shall have in his hand the water of bitterness that brings the curse. 5:19. Then the priest shall make her take an oath, and say to the woman, if no man has lain with you, and if you have not gone astray to uncleanness with another instead of your husband, then be free from any of the effects of this water of bitterness, which brings the curse. So they are in the courtyard of the tabernacle. The woman is to be facing towards the Lord, facing towards the tent of meeting. The priest is letting down her hair. This is something very shameful. She has her head uncovered. She is to hold on to the grain, for she is the one making the offering of her innocence. We have this oath being made here that she is swearing on, that she is innocent, and then she is to consume this water that the priest is presenting to her, that it has this holy dust in it, this holy water with this holy dust, and it is going to curse her if she is an adulteress. This is a supernatural event occurring in a holy and consecrated location, and to some extent she is consenting to drinking this to proclaim her innocence. She knows, of course, whether or not she is an adulteress or not, and what she did or she didn't do. So this is her choice and her option. Of course, her other choice would be to confess her sin and admit it publicly here to the priest and to her husband. Numbers 5:20. But if you have gone astray and you are defiled, some man having lain with you besides your husband. 5:21. Then the priest shall make the woman take the oath of the curse, and say to the woman, the Lord make you a curse and an oath among your people, when the Lord makes your thigh fall away and your body swell. things are explained beforehand, before she is taking this oath. And this is just continuing on with the explanation on what exactly is going to happen if she is found guilty by this curse, this truth test here. It's just giving her every chance, every opportunity to come clean and to admit what she has done, rather than having to go through this curse. And that's why the ramifications are explained like this. In this translation, it talks about the thigh falling off. In the King James, it talks about it rotting. So definitely a very unpleasant thing. And then we have the belly to swell. Some of the commentaries say that this could be swelling to the point of bursting, that it could be a death sentence right then and there. Another commentary I was looking at suggested that it might be like a ovarian tumor, that it just continues to grow and gets quite large, and because of the sin of adultery, the tumor is in the same type of location as where the sin was committed, and it would just keep growing until it caused death. Certainly something very unpleasant. Numbers 5:22. May this water that brings the curse go into your bowels, and make your body swell, and your thigh fall away. And the woman shall say, so let it be, so let it be. 5:23. The priest shall then write these curses in a book, and shall wash them off into the water of bitterness. So the priest, he writes down this curse, the terms and condition, maybe has some other stuff on there as well. And then that is added to the water, and then the water will erase the writing from the paper or whatever that's put in it, and that curse or whatever becomes part of the water. Numbers 5:24. And he shall curse the woman to drink the water of bitterness that brings the curse, and the water that brings the curse shall enter into her, to try her bitterly. 5:25. Then the priest shall take the cereal offering of jealousy and suspicion out of the woman's hand, and shall wave the offering before the Lord, and offer it upon the altar. 5:26. And the priest shall take a handful of the cereal offering as the memorial portion of it, and burn it on the altar, and afterwards shall cause the woman to drink the water. Everything is explained ahead of time, and she simply needs to say amen to say that she is going to agree to the terms and conditions of this oath. So the priest, he takes the grain from her hand and continues on and finishes the offering to be made to the Lord. He does a wave offering and places whatever portion it is on the altar. Afterwards, she is to drink the water. Numbers 5:27. And when he has made her drink the water, then if she is defiled and has committed a trespass against her husband, the curse water which she drank shall be bitterness, and cause her body to swell, and her thigh to fall away, and the woman shall be a curse among her people. The effects of this bitter water and this curse from this oath seem to act very quickly, and discernment is known right away whether or not she was an adulteress or not. Numbers 5:28. But if the woman is not defiled and is clean, then she shall be free from the curse and be able to have children. So if the woman is not an adulteress, well then she's free to go. She can go about her business. And the suspicion and the jealousy that her husband had can now be abated, that she was not doing those things. So it would probably be very reassuring to him to see that she was not being the adulteress, not cheating on him. So hopefully their relationship would be able to improve after that, knowing that that sin was not committed. Numbers 5:29. This is the law of jealousy and suspicion, when a wife goes aside to another instead of her husband and is defiled. 5:30. Or when the spirit of jealousy and suspicion comes upon a man, and he is jealous and suspicious of his wife, then shall he set the woman before the Lord, and the priest shall execute on her all this law. 5:31. The husband shall be free from iniquity and guilt, and that woman, if guilty, shall bear her iniquity. This law of jealousy and this test of suspicion and jealousy is quite interesting, and it seems very effective at ascertaining whether or not there is an individual that is unfaithful and being the adulteress. But it seems very harsh and severe at the same time. But this may have been what they needed during this wilderness wandering phase, when there was no other system in place to look after this type of event.